So yeah, this one is the Kielder Marathon Cheater by Runner Boy. Alright, let's learn.
This is just about my favourite place in the whole world to run in, even on a chilly
That's an
winter's
accent.
day. And what better place to take on one of running's greatest challenges than marathon distance. It's actually 26 miles once round Kielder water, and I want you to join me on October the 17th for what must be Britain's most beautiful marathon.
The weather is as beautiful as you expect in Britain.
Prolific British runner Steve Cram would launch the Kielder Marathon.
UK 1,500.
Cram,
World champion 83.
would launch the Kielder Marathon.
Alright.
A beautiful 26.2 loop that runs through
Yep.
Northumberland, England.
There's actually no problem.
During this
Don't worry.
race, you'll be passing plenty of gorgeous areas, whether it's taking in the fantastic waters of Kielder itself, or breezing on through Forest
Kielder
Park.
is a cool name.
It's not meant to be a fast marathon given its tough footing and climbs, but
Yeah, I think this is the Gigu video about that I showed you. I've read it as well, so fair enough. I've seen it.
is one that's meant to encapsulate the joy of taking in the atmosphere of some of England's
I've run in a
finest.
marathon once. It was like when I was like 150 kilo, and my friend was like, you know, he was like a stick. He was a guy that like never got fat eating. And he was always like very into sport and everything. He went into the army, and I say it was like maybe in 2015 or something. Like in my small village, there was like a marathon or something. It was supposed to be like 3 laps around the village, which was still like, you know, maybe 10 kilometers or something. And you know, obviously, like I was not thinking of running it. I was like so out of shape and obviously like fat as hell. But he was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do something together. So I was like, sure, I'll run it. And I actually run it. I did the 3 laps, but at the end I was like absolutely dead. And yeah, that's my story. That's my story. And at the end I remember like you know, obviously I was like toward the last I was like so slow, right? But at the end I was like, I didn't even want water. I was like, you know, buy me a Coca-Cola. Because at the time I was like addicted to Coca-Cola. I wasn't drinking water or anything. And yeah, so like I was like absolutely thirsted to death, but I was so dumb that I was like, yeah, give me a Coca-Cola. It was the stupidest thing. I was basically like on the street on the pavement, like next to a store. I was just like laying down on the ground because I was so dead. It was really something. But at least I can say, yeah, I've run a marathon. I did it. I did it. And I finished it. And as I said before, like I even won like a sports competition. There was like a sport competition, same thing. It was like when I was super fat. And my friend was like, you know, he wanted to do it. It was like the first inauguration of it. And it was like a couple like things, you know, like 100 meter, stick throwing, ball throwing, jumping into the sun, you know. And I did kind of okay to most of them, except like the ball throwing. Well, like I did super well for some reason compared to everybody else. Actually, it was either the ball throwing or the stick throwing. And because like I think, you know, it was like the first time they were doing it, there was like a weird calculation of the point. And because I had done so much better than everybody else with like the throwing stick, I basically just won. Even over my friend who was like, you know, actually like super athletic, which was very weird. But I think it was more because there was like some point hang up and all that. And there was only like 10 people participating, I think. A couple kids and a couple adults. And so I have a cup for it. I have a cup for winning like a freaking sport competition when I was like a freaking like 150 kilo or something. It was something. It's so stupid. Passing out when a marathon, never again. So yeah, that's my story about winning a sports contest when I should have never won it. Again, like it's insane to me because my friend like went to the army and he's been in the army for like many years now. And you know, like is that fit to be in the army? And yet, you know, I won. That makes no sense.
Nature. The first iteration
No
was
sense.
a massive success. Nearly 1,000 entrants was more than enough for Cram to make it an annual event in the UK running scene. And the 2011 version
Some guys
would
running with a
incorporate
broom.
a 10K the day before it as well. Normally in these 10K
That's our
marathon or other hybrid type weekend events, athletes will simply choose to do one or the other. However, the winner of the 10K, Rob Sloan, was feeling a little confident following his dominant performance, as he opted to enter the marathon set to take place just 24 hours after his
that
win.
British weather though.
The marathon was very likely going to be much more competitive though, so how exactly did this play out for him? Footage of the race is sparse, but Sloan does appear to be lining up near the front at the very beginning of the race.
So how did he cheat? Huh?
Plans to lead would immediately be rolled out with a few pushing the pace from the start, and Rob would tuck in a few places behind. As the race went on, and Rob would start to
How do you even cheat? Like, do they just like go into the forest and like cut or something? And hope that no one sees him?
fall behind a few more places, he would find himself coming through the halfway mark in 1:27:29. A little later, a photo can be found of Rob in what seems to be about 10th place or so. So from this point onwards, a top 10 finish would be quite the feat for him. Except, despite being a far shot from even being considered in the top 5, we actually end up seeing a miraculous third place finish from Rob, where his finishing time would be 2:50:57
last week
and would receive a third place medal for his efforts.
But what? I mean, there's news about so many things in the world, so I don't know.
To make up such a deficit at such a late stage in the race was either a Herculean effort or a carefully tactical move by Rob to
the news was today, no? Yeah, rest in peace. I talked about it a bit earlier.
Capitalize off of the tricky second half of the marathon. Or was there a third option? An option so devious that
did he take a bus?
He wouldn't have a reason to cheat, would he? During a television segment following the Kielder Marathon, Rob Sloan can be found being interviewed as the third place finisher, talking about his efforts coming off of a brutal 10K just 24 hours prior. But who's this guy eyeing him up the whole time? And why does he seem so discontent with everything he's seeing? He could just be exhausted and need some time to perk back up, but this seems like a face of suspicion
He's making a funny face
of exhaustion. Well, it turns out that not long after this race and this interaction, the truth would come out just 48 hours later. As Rob's theatrical comeback to third place was, well, a little too good to be true. On October 11th, 2011, the Kielder Marathon Facebook page released a statement in regards to Rob's disqualification. Quote, Rob Sloan of Sunderland Harriers had apparently made the decision to withdraw from the race at approximately 20 miles due to fatigue. And after returning to the Leapledge Park area, he decided to run the closing section of the course and cross the finish line in third place.
Damn, okay. It's not even like obvious cheating, it's more like opportunistic. I guess he was probably like so tired, he was like, okay, I'll give up. Then he probably like took a car or something toward the end. But then he was like, okay, maybe if I act like I never gave up and I try again, with just like the little bit left, I'll win. That seems dumb though, because it seems like they're saying like he officially gave up at 20 miles.
This was rightly questioned by several witnesses, including the rightful third place finisher, Stephen Keynes of Peebles, Scotland, who has been awarded his prize. Steve Cram had also made a statement that Rob did apologize for his misconduct, and that Keynes would be properly awarded his bronze medal. Normally this is where the story would stop. A cheater got caught, they fessed up to it, and the medal was handed to the rightful competitor. That's what everyone thought initially, but Rob Sloan had something different in mind, because not only would he retract his statement, but he would die on a hill so high that he would quickly become not just a blemish on the British running scene, but throughout British media as a whole.
Damn.
We saw some guy running by the
It's like, I get it if you know, like, some people just can't admit when they cheat, when they do something bad, so like they just keep saying they never did. But he already did. Like he already did and he apologized already, so it's kind of weird that then you would go back to like try to like defend yourself again, it's already too late. You've already admitted once. I don't know.
Trying to flag the bus down.
So he sort of slammed on the brakes and the guy jogged to catch up and got on the bus, and he had a running shirt on and obviously covered in mud and
It was literally a bus. I knew it. I knew he took a bus.
wet, and had his number on, so we knew he'd been a participant in the marathon.
Oh my God.
With a Sunderland Harriers vest on and a marathon number.
When I saw that the winner, he went past, got his medal and all that, and this guy finished second, went past, and then the guy finished third, came in to get his medal. We were standing there thinking, that's the guy that was just on the bus half an hour ago.
Okay.
Then Steve Cairns crossed the finishing line.
All I know is, again, I came third in that race. I was chip timed. I have my Garmin.
About 3 months after handing back his
it's-
medal and apologizing for his wrongdoings, Rob Sloan would go on television to explain how he had actually
Okay.
not cheated in the Kielder Marathon, despite the overwhelming evidence provided by the investigation. By this point, it had been exposed that Rob's suspected method of cheating was that he took a bus about 20
freaking
miles
bus.
in and joined the race later to finish in third. He claims that it would be incredibly unlikely for him to veer off the path to catch a bus during such a late part of the race, and that it would require a special type of person to calculate coming in third intentionally as well. While in Rob's head, this
I mean, I guess he makes a point to an extent, like because the race road were probably blocked, so it's not like there was a bus on the road directly. So he had to literally like try to go find a bus somewhere else, and then make sure the bus goes exactly to where he wants to go, and that it would like be there in time for him to like be in the top. I don't know. He makes a point.
seems incredibly unlikely, it starts to fall apart pretty quickly once eyewitnesses and even Steve Cram himself gets interviewed.
Fair enough.
According to Cram, he was present around
The
miles
bus.
15 and 16.
Like,
just
yeah.
shortly after.
Like if you want to cheat, you would like in advance you would just like have someone you know in a car take you. That would be less obvious. Also like change clothes when you get in the car. Or even sure, I mean if you have something interesting about Toho, you know, again, I might watch it.
The half marathon mark. Cram claims to have seen the top 3 runners and notes a massive gap after Cairns. He did see the 4th place runner, however, but that man was also not Rob Sloan.
Okay.
About 17 miles in, Rob can be seen in around 10th place like mentioned before, but a few miles later, there's a bus that runs that's meant for spectators.
Oh.
The 2 witnesses cite a person that would be practically identical to Rob.
Like, bro, it's not even like a random bus, it's literally a bus for the event itself, like, and then he's trying to like say, I didn't do it.
Sunderland Harriers jersey, a marathon bib, and a distinctive tattoo on his right leg. Rob's response to all of this? Well,
They lied.
Given point, and I most certainly did not get on a bus.
On a bus.
I think it's more a case of mistaken identity.
It wasn't me.
although it gets far worse for his
Alright.
case here. Surprisingly enough, Rob was willing to provide his Garmin data for the race, in
Okay.
which it appears he ran the first 20 miles authentically. However, the moment it hits mile 20, a clear spike in pace can be seen, only for it to simmer back down towards the end of the race. Rob's response here was that a Garmin doesn't work on a bus, but
I don't know what a
failed to
Garmin
address
is.
why his watch recorded him going 30
Oh.
miles an
Okay, a Garmin is like a watch that tracks his like prowess.
hour, a speed that's pretty fitting for a bus. Rob has since been kicked out of his running club and is banned from competing in any British running events related to this until further notice. He has also since deleted the
So dumb.
aforementioned Garmin data from his Kielder marathon scandal, but the 10K he raced the day before does exist and is thankfully authentic. Lastly, the news segment closes up with Rob confirming he can indeed run a marathon in a little over 3 hours, but in the grand scheme of things,
Yeah.
this virtually means nothing. what was surprisingly never mentioned to this day was not just the eyewitnesses and very obviously shady Garmin data, but the fact that his splits were a statistical anomaly as well. Here are the top 10 finishers of the Kielder Marathon. If we look at the time disparities between their first half marathon split and their second half, you'll find that almost every runner positive splits by quite a bit, with only one runner negative splitting by a little bit. Rob's splits, however, indicate that he ran the second half of this race 4 minutes faster than his first half, despite clearly falling more and more back as the race went on. This means that Rob's pace from mile 17 and onwards would have had to have been astounding to make up such a deficit.
He became a symbol for a bit.
Considering anything else, this statistic alone is very eye-opening, especially when you consider he did a 10K just the day before, and of course the blatant gaps in his Strava data. So what happened afterwards? Well, from what it appears on his Garmin profile, Rob took a couple months off following the Kielder Marathon and then proceeded to train again. At the end of the interview seen earlier, he planned to train for the Great North Run in September 2012.
But is he even allowed to join anything like that?
Leading up to the half marathon. However, Rob somehow managed to make things worse, as articles in October would start pouring out about him again, indicating that he ran the race under a friend's name and attempted to use a disguise to prevent any potential harassment.
Oh my god.
All in all, was Rob Sloan a solid...
Well, I guess I get it. Maybe like if he was literally like he couldn't get in to another race because of his name, I guess I get that he would try something, but at the same time, like, you're going to get found out. Come on.
Runner.
Come on.
Yeah, a 60-minute 10-miler and a 78-minute half marathon are really nothing to scoff at. Did Rob Sloan cheat at the Kielder Marathon, though? Unfortunately, yes.
He was actually good.
Even though there are plenty of stories and documentation of very inexperienced runners cheating marathons, sometimes it's the more experienced ones that try to take advantage of their athletic prowess and in an attempt to preserve their pride when things don't go
doesn't even seem like doesn't even seem like this is like, you know, this guy again, it seems like he was good. He actually won the last race, so like, you know, this really feels like a waste. I don't even think there was probably like a ton of money to come in third place or anything, so it just like ruined everything for no reason.
Decision to artificially increase their times via illegal methods.
Just take some steroid, my dude.
Rankings website, Rob has not raced a single time since then, but has been documented to have done a training run as recent as December 2019. While his actions in the context of the running scene are unforgivable, due to the lengths he went to lie about it, hopefully 10 years later, a sliver of remorse is felt for trying to take away such an accomplishment from runners at one of the most aesthetically pleasing marathons to grace the British marathon scene.
It's definitely not that big of a deal, but it's funny anyway.
If you want to see more running content like this, come on over and become a...
Good video, good video. I mean, yeah, it just seems like, I don't know if it's in plan or not, you know, that he would shit. I would say not, because otherwise it's way too dumb, right? Like, he took a bus for like the spectators while wearing his literal, like, you know, actual running stuff, not even trying to blend in. So I'm gonna assume it wasn't planned. He just kind of like, either like, you know, he couldn't, 20 miles in, he couldn't do it, so he decided to take the bus, and then when he got out of the bus, he thought maybe I could try to like act like I ran all this way. Or maybe it's just, yeah, like he was playing right away on getting to the bus and doing it. I don't know. Okay, well, nice video. Interesting video. Alright.